my loyalty is to you. You are here trying to be better. You are here trying to improve by 1% daily. Like, you are here trying to be that future version of yourself that you have the capabilities of being. And my loyalty is to you and to that person. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to day 24 of the free 30-day challenge inside the free Uncaged group. I'm excited about this one because it's very different. I don't believe I've ever really seen someone kind of harp on this, much less give homework associated to just having conversations with strangers. I know this sounds very ironic, and I'm probably, as much statistics that I've looked up and researched, some of them I probably should have brought to the forefront of my mind before recording some of this, because there was a study that I read months and months and months ago that was talking about the opportunities that we have these days. Now, this was more so for like kind of marketing and sales and stuff like that. So didn't really apply as much here. I wish I had remembered it a little bit better. But it's somewhere along the lines of the amount of people that our grandfathers, so talking about generationally, our grandparents, I guess I should say, the amount of people that they interacted with on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, and year-to-year basis, compared to how we have the ability to communicate as human beings now with the internet and social media and cell phones and every resource that we have. Now, again, it was kind of talking about like how easy we have it made when it comes to building businesses and building brands and stuff like that. But then when you start to look back on some of the way these people look at themselves and the confidence that they breed, and the sense of community that they created because they looked out for one another. Like, you really start to think about the bonds that they had created with their neighbors. I mean, it's just a wild world that we live in, where you look at some of these small towns where everybody knew everybody. Whereas now in today's world, I don't even know if I know my neighbors' names. Shame on me. So this, again, I'm jotting this down as homework for myself. We talked to them some, but I couldn't tell you their names. So anyways, I wanted to discuss some of the importance of like communicating and interacting with strangers and in your community, because for me, going through this challenge, it's to both work on myself again, because I do this for me. I just get the law of reciprocity, and I get to invite my friends along the way because I like surrounding myself with other winners. So like, I'm recording this challenge. I'm going through this challenge. My wife is going through this challenge. I literally have no excuses. I have in my backpack 2 different Uncaged notebooks, and all of the homework printed out to take with us on a road trip. No excuses. My sister is getting married the day that this drops, and my wife and I will both be getting this completed and both be submitting homework, because that's who we are. We do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. And part of this is I am recording this so that I can do this for me, because I understand the importance here. And so like, I am going to be going out and communicating with strangers with a very specific reason, because for my sense of belonging, my sense of community, statistically is going to raise by 20 to 30% by doing this on a regular basis. I am in a very strange chapter of my life where for a while we've not been in a place like where we could truly call home, which I allowed that as an excuse for me to write off putting any effort into, I don't want to say building relationships here. I'm not here. We're all busy people. We all are high performers. Like, there is a big focal point on efficiency. And in fact, this conversation came up inside the VIP group literally this week, where we started talking about the effort that you associated and like kind of prejudging people. And we're going to learn about this here in a second, like prejudices and, and stereotypes. But when it comes time to dedicating, building a relationship with someone versus just pouring into your community, giving that good karmic energy out into the world, right? So it's a 20 to 30% increase that you get from just feeling like you belong here. Like I look at the community that we're in. It's a beautiful community. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of really awesome people in our community. And it's like, I want to feel a part of that. So for me to go out there and make it a point when I leave this house, and I don't care if it's someone walking down the sidewalk, I don't care if it's someone behind a cash register, I don't care if it's someone stocking shelves, I don't care what it is, I'm going to go out of my way to have a conversation with a specific person, anyone, so that I can feel like I belong, because I want to feel like I belong, because that bleeds over into my confidence, my emotional health, and everything else that is associated, which in turn shows up on how I am a business owner, how I show up to the men in Uncaged, how I show up at the gym. And so, like, I want to feel this. I want a part of this. And then when you start to think about social trust, and this study was actually pretty interesting, because it's about the social trust. I kind of think about this again, going back to like the karmic value that you create inside of your community, whereas you go and you pour and you pour and you pour, and whether or not it is someone that you pour into or someone that just observes you from afar, your actual social trust levels increase by 25%, as the study showed, for people that go out on a regular basis and interact with strangers. Like, how wild is that that is something that we have the ability to do unbeknownst to ourselves, but that's just because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. The next thing, and again, something that like had come up in Uncaged, and one of the things that we were talking about was having prejudices or stereotypes in a form of like a judgmental way on like, when do you dedicate time into pouring into specific people without assuming it's going to be a waste of time, right? And so it's just crazy to me, that being able to go out there and just speak to random strangers. There's really, I want to say that there's no science behind it. I was going to say there's no real strategy or science behind it, because you're not going out there and asking like for them to buy things from you. You're not trying to sell them or close them. Like, you're just going out there and being a good human being, and allowing something like that, whether we want to believe it or not, that we have this like judgmental aspect about us, where it be not stereotypical, but subconscious, where we have these stereotypical thoughts about specific people based on what we have experienced in the past or what has been poured into us in the past. And so it's up to us to kind of break those stereotypes and think for ourselves as our own fucking human beings. And to see the fact that this helps by 15 to 20% be able to alleviate that is incredible. Not only that, like, it's a mission of mine, something that I talk about pretty openly about, like, I just want to be a better human being. Like, I want to be a better version of myself. So what does that look like? How does that translate into real life? And then, to bring up some of the intimate conversations that we had, but it was actually really, really incredible for the first couples retreat we ever had. We had completely anonymous questionnaires that went out, and every attendee filled it out, and we received it back. Couldn't tell who it was. No names, no IP addresses, no emails, no text or phone numbers. It was complete anonymity. No idea. But it was very, very interesting that and it came out that a majority of the people that had submitted some of these, it was some of the wives, some of the women that were in attendance, because as the topic got brought up, you could see some of the women more so voicing their opinion on wanting, thriving to be able to have this conversation with their husbands. And so because of that, I knew that it was a majority of the wives. But anyways, this questionnaire, no idea who anything was. No, a lot of these people, actually, there's very few percent, probably 10% of the people actually had met prior to coming to this retreat. And so it was incredible to see all these different responses about a desire for their spouse to be more empathetic and to have more empathy. And we got into a very, very great conversation about like truly what does that word mean? What does empathy mean to you? What does empathy mean to your spouse? What does being empathetic want? And do we have the correct terminology here? Because as we start to break down in one of the couples' actual lives right in front of our face with all these other people, there is, the wife was using the word empathy and empathetic in one way, whereas the husband was interpreting it in a different way from a terminology standpoint. And so it was really interesting to kind of work through this study and learning that like interacting with strangers can actually increase your specific empathy by 40%. And so for me, it's like, man, like I love people. And that's probably been something that I've had to honestly put some boundaries up for myself to protect myself from wanting to see the best in everyone and giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. But also there is still such a genuine desire for me to get information like this out to other people who do need to be more empathetic, and myself included, in a very specific way. And it's wild that just something as simple as having regular communication and conversation with complete strangers can help build your empathy by 40%. It's almost double, right? And so for me, I want this as it's like my homework to go out and talk to people, to just have a genuine conversation. And for me, I don't want to say this and it get misconstrued, because it's not necessarily about, and this is how like some people may have to relate it, oh, it's just going to be a waste of time. Like you're never going to see this person again. Like what if, especially, where we live, like a lot of people are visiting and a lot of people are tourists and this, that, whatever. So it's like, man, I'm never going to see them again. Like, why would I devote time into, out of my precious quantity that I have into devoting it to some stranger? You never know what they're going through. You never know what their home life is like. You never know what demons they're fighting. And so this might just be that one bright moment and that one shining light of opportunity for them that they fucking needed. Maybe you just saved their life. Whatever the case is. I don't want to take that value away. But even if all you did do it for was for selfish reasons, and that selfish reason would be to raise your empathy by 40%. Like, what would that be? How much would it be worth it for you to just dedicate a little bit of your time on a regular basis to go out of your way to have a genuine conversation with someone to increase your empathy levels by 40%? Like, how would that translate into the way you interact with your wife? How would that translate into the way you interact with your daughter, your son, your parents, your other family members, your employees, your coworkers? Like, how would that improve your life personally or professionally? Just from a simple act of, you might not never see them again. That relationship might not grow into anything. Shit, fucking, maybe it will. But again, like, all the what ifs, but like, at least statistically speaking, it's going to help you be a better you. And again, like, I'm very big on like building the community and being a part of society and being a shining light for people and things of that nature. But like, my loyalty is to you. You are here trying to be better. You are here trying to improve by 1% daily. Like, you are here trying to be that future version of yourself that you have the capabilities of being. And my loyalty is to you and to that person. And so I'm saying, like, even at bare minimum, if there was no other ripple effect in this thing that we call life, even if that's just improving you by helping you become more empathetic, what would that mean for you right now? And how would that magnify a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, a decade from now, a whole life from now? How would you learning how to be more empathetic help you personally or professionally? Because that's where my loyalty is to you, not just this version of yourself, but that version down the road. And the last thing is just your social skills and how it's a simple task. It's a simple piece of effort on how this can impact you and teach you more social skills and allow you to be a better communicator. Why would you not use this? Consider this practice. Consider this practice in communicating with your wife, with your children. Consider this practice with how you talk to clients or customers or prospects. This is your chance to start working through some of your awkwardness, to learn how to communicate better, to learn different words and terminology, and how to have conversations with people that have different perspectives and personas and personalities than you. How could this not make you better? So my homework for you is get out there in the world. You're going to experience things in your day-to-day life. You're going to have opportunities daily to be able to just keep walking or have that conversation. Now, mind you, I'm not telling you to spend 24/7 going out and finding random people to have conversations with. But there's going to be a moment that comes up today, tomorrow, this week, where you are going to interact with someone and you have one of two choices: to easily have that conversation. It could be something simple. Giving them a compliment, thanking them for something, helping them with something, helping the old lady get something off the counter, like whatever the case is, and having a very just small, genuine conversation. It could be 30 seconds. It could be 3 minutes. It could be 30 minutes. It could be 3 hours. That's solely up to you and based on the trajectory of that conversation. But my homework for you is to go out there and go out of your way to have a conversation with someone else. If this happens today, I want to see it in the homework. What happened? What was the experience? What did you take away from it? And how did you feel before the conversation? And how did you feel after the conversation? If this has not happened with you today, or call it recently, where you can vividly look out and say, like, in my fucking soul, I feel better. I feel like I am a part of the community. I feel like I'm putting good karma in the world. I feel like I'm, I am going out there and being a good, genuine fucking person. And I truly was hearing a stranger. I improved myself. I learned how to be more empathetic. I learned how to put judgments aside. I learned how to not be prejudiced or stereotypical. I learned this. I felt this. I could feel in my soul myself improve by 1%. I want to hear that story. If you don't have that story available right now, I want to hear what your plans are on to getting yourself outside of your comfort zone, on taking that next step of faith and being able to go out there and be a good part of the community and build up the world that we live in, and to be a shining example of like what real motherfuckers are supposed to look like. Drop in the comments. You know what to do, and we'll see you tomorrow.